So I got one of the early RMAX4s back in 2021, not long after they had come out. I got an order in before any hit the dealers, and I was lucky enough to get one early. I had just sold a 2021 General XP two-seater, and so I posted a little comparison video between the two. So I didn't really have the opportunity to dig into an RMAX2 to see what it was like. That has finally changed. I was one of 6 lucky people to be able to go to Gateway, Colorado for the Realize Your Adventure trip with Yamaha. Got to go for 2 days, got to ride RMAXs in Utah, Colorado, close to around the Moab area, and compliments to Yamaha for a lot of reasons, but they let us ride these machines the way they're intended to be ridden. We rode about 200 miles in 2 days. Now I've got a separate video, I shrunk it way down to 8 minutes, about that ride, showing the different types of terrain we did, showing how we were able to ride them and sort of push them, you know, within our ability level. I'm going to pin that in the comments of this video. It's worth seeing if you want to see the type of riding we did and kind of what that was about. I'm also going to have a third video later that's about the Yamaha experience, that whole weekend from beginning to end. I'm looking forward to that one the most because it was one of the coolest experiences I've ever had in my life. Yamaha had some videographers, photographers. They're going to have some content that they share with us once it's all finalized. So I'm going to wait on that video until I kind of have all that so I feel like I can do the whole thing justice. We got to see all kinds of terrain, from mud, water, a little bit of snow on the side of the trail, smoother and fast, technical and slow, and kind of everything in between. We even got a little bit of air a couple times. So after 2 full days, a couple 100 miles, riding pretty hard, no fatigue, no soreness, very comfortable cabin. Now I'm not going to bore you with many specs today. You can go look all that up online. I am going to report on the human feel of this machine and how all of that translated into a real world experience. I'm also going to buck tradition here, and I'm going to start with my summary, and then I'm going to follow up with why I came to that conclusion after. And my summary is this: the RMAX, whether it's the 2 or 4 seater, has the best combination of sport with utility with build quality. So if you're one of those people that needs or wants that combination of all those things, even if you do more sport than utility or more utility than sport, if you're in that spectrum somewhere, you need to give this thing a hard look. How did I come to that conclusion? Let me start with suspension. The Fox 2.0 shocks on the RMAX are very, very good. From crawling over technical rocks to just riding around with the family or just cruising around to a very sporting pace, these shocks have all of that covered and covered well. So when you can go out Monday through Friday and tow 2,000 pounds, put 600 pounds in the bed, go check fences, do some farming work, whatever it is you're doing, and then Saturday through Sunday, you can go and ride the thing like a sport machine, you've really accomplished quite the feat. Quick note on IQS, which is the ability to adjust the suspension on the fly. We had one on Saturday that did not have that. It was a quick adjustment outside. And then my personal 4-seater and the LE that we had Sunday does have that. And with the varying types of terrain that we had, we used that quite often, and it's a noticeable difference between. So it's really handy to have that switch on the dash. So I knew the chassis on the 4 was pretty good. For a 4-seater, it's really good. The 2 though, man, was it razor sharp. The steering on both models, very, very fast. You don't have to crank the wheel far. Small movements and it gives you what you need. Very sporty, very connected feeling. And also, maybe going more to the chassis side, the balance between oversteer and understeer, loose and tight, is right in the bullseye. which surprises me for a machine that has some utility intent. So the RMAX2 mostly is on the loose side of the equation, which is right where you want to be. That's fun and that's fast. Now, like most side-by-sides, if you're going slow and you need a quick input of the wheel, it can get tight there. And so I found the machine in those situations with a little stab of the brake and maybe mixed with a little input of the throttle, it would then pivot back into its loose general feel. But as the speeds pick up, it becomes very consistently on the side of loose, where it's going to turn and that back end might kind of slide out a little bit. And that's really what you want. The last thing you want on a side-by-side is to go into a corner and decide you need to turn and it just keeps going straight. Like, that's not the RMAX. It's going to turn. You just might have to catch the back end a little bit, which is awesome. The brakes actually surprised me a little bit. I pushed this 2 a little harder than my 4, and the brakes are strong. Like, there were times where you're coming up pretty fast on a corner and you can scrub off 10, 15, 20 mile an hour, I mean, in an instant. They're very, very strong brakes. It seemed like we were constantly switching through the drive modes, from crawl and the slow technical stuff to trail, probably the best all-arounder. But there were times when maybe the speed picked up a little bit, was smoother, faster, and we went to sport, and man, that's where you want to be there. Having the ability to adjust the sensitivity of the throttle is very, very beneficial. One kind of early complaint that I gave Yamaha, which I'm going to have to pull back a little bit on maybe, is I believe the 2-seater uses 18 gram primary weights and the 4-seater uses 20. I tend to like heavier primary weights as it keeps the RPMs lower when you're just cruising around. But after this trip and riding at a little more of a sporting pace, I think that's why they use the lighter primary weights, particularly in the 2-seater, because the throttle response it's right now. The RPMs are up, it's ready to accelerate, it's ready to go. I still think I might prefer a 20 in the 2-seat and 22 maybe in the 4, but that's all personal preference now, and I can say, coming full circle, I get now why the 2-seat has the 18, the 4-seat has the 20. It's for that throttle response. Yamaha's 4-wheel drive's great. If you like to be in control of every aspect of your 4-wheel drive system, instead of just flipping a switch and letting the machine decide what to do, the Yamaha's for you. So you have 4-wheel drive, which is kind of a traditional 4-wheel drive with a limited slip front differential, or you can go ahead and lock in full differential lock and get full live 4-wheel drive. This 4-wheel drive system, probably the best kept secret is you get great engine braking transferred through all the tires when you're going downhill. So no lurching, no taking off like a race car, no bucking, nothing like that. Very controlled, takes a lot of pressure off the brakes. Great system. You know, the Adventure Pro has its limitations. The plus are the gauges. Yamaha also had our routes entered into the Adventure Pro so that when we'd spread out and kind of stay out of each other's dust, you could always just glance at the Adventure Pro with the map up there and it would show you the highlighted route that everybody's riding. So there was never a doubt, like, did I miss a turn? So being able to pre-plan a route is really, really, really handy. And also being able to create a new route is very handy. The Ultramatic clutching system in the Yamaha, not going to spend a lot of time here. By far and away the best system out there. You don't get belt slip, it's constant tension, the belts last longer, the components are stronger. It seems like everybody else tries to copy Yamaha here. Yamaha is in a league of their own. It is a blowout victory. The clutching system in the Yamaha is butter smooth. Some things that I highlighted in my old video, but they're worth restating quickly. The handbrake is absolutely phenomenal, way better than a notchy park that's difficult to use on hills and that sort of thing. It is so simple, yet so awesome. The gated shifter in the Yamaha is very confident, very precise, very high quality. The overall fit and finish in the Yamaha, very premium look, very premium feel, more like the automotive industry, still at the top of the industry in my opinion. I still like the underhood access of the Yamaha. You've got your battery, you've got your air filter, all of your electronics, coolant reservoir, everything's kind of put down into one area, which is very handy. I have grown to like the lower door on the Yamaha for visibility. It really helps to be able to peek around and see what's going on. I also like the shoulder bolster. I might be in the minority there, but it gives me a sense of security that if something happens, I'm going to stay in the machine. So on the day, we rode 111-ish miles, and we rode them hard. We weren't conserving fuel. A lot of wide open. My best estimate is on the amount of gas that was left versus how many miles we rode, that we're getting about 15, 16 miles to the gallon, which means that the RMAX, from my experience, is pretty steadily going to be able to get you 120 miles on the low end, but based on the estimates I was getting, more like 150 miles. I would be remiss if I didn't have a few things that I did think Yamaha could improve moving forward as they update this model down the road. One is the leaky roof. The roof gutters do drop. They tend to drop right on your legs. To me, the machine is still a little noisy. I did find riding with a helmet reduced the sound quite a bit. I also think the four-seater's louder with that roof that extends back over the engine. But my experience with the helmet on did not strike me as it being overly loud, but I would just say it's easy to make a quiet machine loud. You can't make a loud machine quiet. So my advice to Yamaha would be to try to make the machine, it might be electric someday, right? But if it's gas powered, if you can make the drivetrain quieter and maybe the exhaust quieter, I think that'd be a win. And then the guys that like to blow up their eardrums can go put a straight pipe on it or something and have at it. The Yamaha's rear differential or rear gear is super robust. So I would not want that to change. If that changes, leave it. But if we could get turf mode and not lose that robustness, that would be a win. Another criticism that the RMAX has gotten is mud protection. I've actually been pleasantly surprised. Now I don't go out and mud bog, but yeah, I get some mud on you, but it's not horrible. Having said that, marginally better mud protection from the factory would be a win. I'd like to see Yamaha add an accessory on with the ignition key instead of just off or everything on. Maybe like just radio and doesn't turn on the fuel pump or anything like that. I also would like to see the pigtails turn into an accessory bar that has 3 wires. I think adds flexibility to people who are adding more and more accessories, which leads to maybe we need a bigger battery, maybe we need a little stronger stator. It seems like each of the manufacturers now have their own system like the Adventure Pro. My only frustration just with the industry as a whole is there's so much fragmentation. Some do things really well and others not so well, and that's kind of universal. Most of the areas that we ride, especially public lands, a lot of those maps go to Avenza. All right, and I know a lot of those can go to the Adventure Pro or to Ride Command or wherever they go. But there are apps out there that are very, very, very good at helping you navigate on the trail, but nobody's really doing a great job, it doesn't seem, of integrating some of those types of apps. I think an exterior door handle would be nice. Certainly the people who are doing the full enclosures want that. I did add one from Unique Off-Road Products, pictured here. It's been pretty handy. It's not, a make or break for me, and I don't do a full cab enclosure, but just something I think would be a nice touch. It seems like a trend lately with radios, more speakers, more watts, more subwoofers, just loading them up. You start riding at any pace, The volume that it takes to overcome the wind and the engine and the drivetrain and the gravel and everything else, like you're punishing your ears more than the front row of a rock concert. Maybe the option to add one with some really good speakers. But to me, maybe a more interesting direction might be factory integrated intercoms with Bluetooth radio options and a plug-in for the ability to connect up two-way radios with a push-to-talk. Maybe you have a radio kit as a package that you could put on these things for the people that want that, and you make it awesome. Or you have another package that has more of the intercom option. If done right, I could see that being a pretty big move by a manufacturer. So obviously a lot of that is splitting hairs. For 2023, the Yamaha RMAX is about as close to a perfect machine as you can find for, again, finding that machine that's good at utility, that's good and comfortable just to ride around, but it's also good when you want to go pick up the pace and have a really good time. And finally, you're getting that Yamaha reputation, reliability, quality. Yamaha's known for that. And so I hope you enjoyed the video, and have a good one.